Good morning. Today, Friday, January 18th, 2025, all my respect goes to Michelle Obama. All of it today. That's all I have. Now, why is this the case? Because Michelle is doing what all of us must do, which is this. We are not going to pay our respects to Donald Trump, who himself, shall I remind you all, Donald Trump, who himself did not attend Joe Biden's inauguration 4 years ago. Donald Trump, who has been found guilty and convicted of 34 felony counts related to his interference in the 2016 election. Donald Trump, who was indicted on federal criminal charges related to his trying to stay in office and foment a violent insurrection against the American people to influence and interfere with even the 2020 election and prevent Biden from being declared the legitimate president in 2021. Donald Trump, who is an adjudicated sexual assaulter. Why in the world would Michelle Obama, or quite frankly, anyone, go to his inauguration? Now, I understand and I respect the choice of the former living presidents in attending. I understand why Joe Biden and Barack Obama and George W. Bush would attend. That makes a ton of sense to me. And even Bill Clinton, excuse me, I did not want to forget him. Maybe it was that sort of sexual assaulter in my head. Yes, friends, I'm sorry, I have not forgiven him for that. But at any rate, I understand why they would attend. But hell no, no one else should. I don't see why any Democrat should attend his funeral. And I was glad to hear that Nancy Pelosi was also not attending. But good for Michelle Obama. Now, let me elaborate about where we are today and how we are going to move forward. As noted, today is actually the last day that I will be presenting Gen Taub live while we are still in the Biden administration. I'm not doing a show on Monday. It's a national holiday, Martin Luther King Day, and I will be honoring his legacy as someone who has always been a role model for me. I will be reading Letter from Birmingham Jail, and what I will put up here on my show is nothing at all, because I don't want you to be in front of a computer or a phone or a television. If you can, I want you to be with other people, participating in a day if you are physically able of volunteering, or if you are not connecting. If it means something to you to connect online, I understand that. But I don't want any of my focus to be on the ushering in of a second Trump administration. And I will not celebrate him. And I will not pay respect or even attention to the craven broligarchs who are going to attend, or the fascist strongmen leaders He's invited to participate, some of whom will attend. That's not what I am going to do. And as part of this, let me remind you, Alexander Solzhenitsyn said this: the simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. I will not take part in the lie that anything Donald Trump is doing is something I should honor. And let me add for you that he has decided, not surprisingly, to fly the flags at full attention, not at half-mast. He is not following the executive order that was put in place to honor presidents for 30 days. Now, you remember this. I know that you remember this executive order. And Donald Trump has decided to defy it because he wants himself to be elevated over Jimmy Carter and respect for the office. That is a fact. And just to let you know, you might wonder, how is that happening? Because remember how we were talking about this with, I said, well, isn't Joe Biden in charge until noon? Well, as it happens, it turns out the way this works as part of this peaceful transfer of power is apparently the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is kind of in charge of how things operate at the Capitol right now. So even though, I said, oh, Joe Biden, but, it is the Capitol where this swearing in is happening. And so Mike Johnson has decided not to honor Jimmy Carter. So I will be spending my Monday honoring Martin Luther King and Jimmy Carter and not the Mango Mussolini. Now, how do we move forward? And by the way, this is a regular show today. How do we move forward together as part of Gen Taub Live, this community, which I know it might be cringy, but we have started calling ourselves the Taubsters, which is kind of funny because some teachers called me that when I was a kid, Taubster, which is a little bit better than Tub. I didn't love that. At any rate, how do we move together as a team, as witnesses, as sharing together the nightmare that is coming for us? And I've decided a few things that we can do. And the first thing is to center our health. And the reason why this came to me this morning is because I woke up at 2 a.m. and I did something I'm not supposed to do. I know it's bad for my health. I decided, I just need a little snack. I even have an app that tells me to fast, as if it's a fast, between dinner and breakfast, like 7:30 at night and 7:30 a.m. I'm not supposed to eat anything because it gets me in trouble when I eat in the middle of the night. But I decided, F that app, it can't control me. I just want a little bit of chocolate. This is going somewhere. That little bit of chocolate turned into third of a bag of that very delicious chocolate bark from Trader Joe's. And then I thought, well, I don't want to eat all of that chocolate bark because poor Michael, it's his bark. So I might as well eat this tiny little milk chocolate candy bar. And then I thought to myself, well, shit, I'm not even a big sweets fan. I love savory stuff. And if I'm digging into middle of the night snacking, this is the time to snack on a ton of stuff. And I didn't want to snack, of course, on the Chex Mix because I didn't want to have to finish the Chex Mix and then be accused of eating it. And then I would have to use my Pete Hegseth anonymous smears comment. So I decided to move on to other savory snacks. I don't think you really care, you guys, about how many of the snacks I eat. That's not the point. The point is, during the last Trump administration, between Trump and COVID, I literally gained 40 pounds and also maybe writing a book. Okay. And I know this shouldn't matter. It's not a cosmetic issue. It's a health issue. It is a health issue for me and for my concerns. And I don't want that to happen again. And then I thought about health and how to get through the next 4 years. And so here is the little slide that I made. And I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm calling it PRISM. I sound like a management consultant. I'm calling it PRISM so I can remember it. Physical health, relational health, intellectual health, spiritual health, and mental health. I want to keep these in balance instead of saying don't eat at night or don't pay attention to Donald or don't. We all know saying don't do something only centers the thing we don't want to do. It's like when a kid is running around a pool and it's not safe. If you shout, stop running, you have done nothing to communicate what the kid should do. You're supposed to say, walk slower or stand still, right? So telling myself, don't do things that are harmful because I'll be depressed about it, or saying to myself, don't channel your anxiety into eating unhealthy things, or don't rage at somebody because you're worried about your mom's health. I am centering these things, and maybe we can try doing this together. Physical health, get moving. Relational health, spend time reaching out to people that you care about, listening to them, sharing with them, not holding back. Intellectual health is investing in reading and art and things that have value. Instead of just saying those MAGA are idiots, how about not being one ourselves, doing smart things? Spiritual health is finding that place, whether you are religious or not, whether you believe in a higher power or not, but this is a place, maybe it is yoga or meditation, maybe it is just powering down our minds and thinking about things that heal our souls. And of course, mental health has many aspects. Some of that requires medical consultations, maybe medication, maybe other things that we understand to center our mental health. So this is, my friends, my plan. This is how I am preparing. Now, another thing to say, guys, is this. If you might know this, but this is super important. If you are either a member of the channel or becoming a member of the channel, we are having a members only Zoom where we're all going to see each other for 40 minutes this Sunday. And it's at noon Eastern. Please go over to the community area if you've become a member, and you can there see the link to sign up. I've got a sign up sheet or a sign up form that you fill out so that I will then have your email addresses and I can email you the link. And I can confirm when you log into the Zoom that it's you and all the rest of it. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, talk to the mods. I am so excited. We have tons of people who've signed up, but it's not too big. It's just kind of the right size for us all to meet each other. And why do I want to do this? Because talking to you, I don't see you, right? You see me, you hear me. I can only read your comments. We need to be a real community together, and we can talk together about the show's direction. You can help shape it with me. I cannot wait to actually lay eyes on you. I've never met, except by words, the mods here. Deb, Jason, and Susan, I can't wait to meet you. Julia, Cooper, can't wait. Jaroslav, I hope you can join us. If you can't, that's fine. We'll find another time. But this is a members only benefit, and it benefits me. Okay, so hell no, Michelle won't go. But guess who else won't be going to Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday? Yes, my friends, it's so exciting. Brazil is not allowing Bolsonaro to attend Trump's inauguration. Oh, thank you, Candy. Bolsonaro is not allowing, I'm sorry, Brazil is not allowing Bolsonaro, strongman, to attend Donald Trump's inauguration. And you might wonder why. Well, I think they're worried that he will maybe be given asylum in the U.S. to avoid prison. And so we just found out that a court in Brazil has rejected his bid to attend Trump's inauguration. And the way they're able to do this is the court is actually holding on to Bolsonaro's passport. And you may say to yourself, maybe you don't remember, why is Brazil Why is a court in Brazil holding on to strongman Bolsonaro of Brazil's passport? Well, it's because he tried to stage a coup to stay in power. And it looks like justice is alive and well in Brazil because they didn't have a complete waste of space whose name is Merrick Garland running their Justice Department. And no, I won't stop. And you might say to yourself, Jen, won't it be awkward if and when you run into Merrick Garland again? And I say again because I've actually met him in person and I've seen him speak publicly at a kind of small event. So that's twice. Only spoken to him once. Anyhow, but that was well before the first time was before he became Attorney General. And you might say, Jen, won't that be awkward? Well, first of all, here's why it won't be awkward. He will have no idea who I am. I don't need to say hello. I don't need to be introduced. I very much doubt that he has enough self-awareness to care about who I am on this planet. And secondly, if it comes to that, I'm able to smile. And no one I've experienced, if you smile at a man, he smiles back at you and has no idea the kind of contempt you have in your heart for him. So that will be just fine for me. Okay, so that is what is going on. Now, even though Bolsonaro is being blocked from Trump's inauguration, Donald Trump has invited people to his inauguration that aren't usually invited because this is all about his flexing. And it really is in line also with his portrait that he is now using, which almost looks like one of his arrest photos. Very angry, very brutal. And it is unusual. Let me just see if I can find this because I didn't have this. I've got other things. I want you to be able to see who he invited. Oh, well, this is good. I am now seeing, although Obama, Clinton, and Bush are going to the inauguration, they will not go to the inaugural lunch. And that is probably smart because you never know what he will put in the food. I will remind you, the Supreme Court says that has not, let me just say, the Supreme Court July decision, July of last year, about Donald Trump's immunity, where they didn't mention Donald Trump, suggested that, well, first of all, we know an existing president will not be charged. And we know that a former president can't be charged with federal crimes for the most part, even including killing his enemy. So as long as he's acting in his official capacity and he poisoned them, I'm not sure, first of all, that he would be held accountable. And second of all, I don't think Obama wants to, from the grave, watch Donald Trump go to jail. Wouldn't help him. Now, do I actually think Donald Trump would poison them? I'm not sure, but I wouldn't take the chance and I wouldn't show him the respect. Okay, so I'm proud of them. The next thing that I would tell you, the reason why Bolsonaro not wanted to go to the funeral is not just to seek asylum, but let me just tell you that Donald Trump also invited Viktor Orban to attend his funeral. These are leaders who wouldn't normally be invited. Of course, Donald Trump is breaking with centuries of protocol to invite these people to the swearing in on Monday. He told the State Department last month that he was thinking about it. And these are people we would not expect. In fact, foreign leaders are not invited to the inauguration traditionally. Foreign leaders, period. In the past, they're told, stay home. Now, diplomats from other countries and ambassadors come, but not foreign leaders. Now, we don't even invite our closest allies from the UK or Canada or even Israel. We do not. and they were not invited. Now, the problem, though, is that it seems like Donald Trump is not just bucking tradition, but he's inviting the worst people in the world, right? He is actually inviting Orban, and he's inviting Italian Prime Minister Meloni. She's been invited. So Orban from Hungary, we've got Meloni from Italy, and we have the Argentinian president Milei. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It seems to me that these far right leaders were invited and have accepted. This is unacceptable. Good on Michelle Obama for not attending. In addition, right, we don't usually invite foreign leaders. And look, he's invited the worst ones in the world and not our allies. It turns out that he invited Xi Jinping, who's not attending, but he is sending an envoy from his government. Now, Meloni said she received the invite, but is checking her schedule. Maybe she's washing her hair. I hope she doesn't attend. Orban is deciding whether to come. The Argentinian president, Milei, is attending. And it goes on and on. Nigel Farage, who is obviously not the prime minister in England, but he's a far-right politician, political figure. He will be attending. Farage is an utter fascist. I just told you Bolsonaro can't travel because the court won't give him back his passport. Far-right French politician Zemmour is accepted. And anyway, it goes on and on. I'm not going to list them. This is not great, right? And they are kissing his ring. In addition, you also know the 5 or 6 top tech oligarchs will be attending. Now, I got a couple more things before I get to person of the day and Crazy Town. But you're never, ever going to believe who is also attending the inauguration. You may have heard this, my friends. None other than Eric Adams, who's under federal indictment. He is the mayor of New York. I'm confused why Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, did not kick him out of his seat, because she did have the power to do that, but oh well. And now, why in the world do you think he is, Eric Adams, coming down to D.C.? I think you know. I think he's going to show his support for Donald Trump and beg, either directly or indirectly, for a pardon. Now, let's talk a little bit about Joe Biden's final speech. There are 2 of them. We already heard the one he made to the public, to us, but he also made a final speech as commander-in-chief to the troops. Now, before I get to that second one, I want to remind you what Joe Biden said to us when he warned us, right, about the oligarchy that is now taking place in America, right? Setting in America. I'm trying to remember his exact words for that. And Joe Biden warned us about dark money in America, and that we were now basically in a situation where oligarchy is taking hold in the United States. And he also warned about the danger of losing our free press. Well, you're never going to believe it, or maybe you will. So the Washington Post, you may remember that several years ago, Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post from the Graham family, this family that had owned the Post for generations. And Jeff Bezos bought the Post from the family. And I think it was almost 10 years ago, a little over 12 years ago. So back in 2013, Jeff Bezos spent $250 million dollars for the Washington Post, which is chump change. And I don't know how much money the Post is losing each year. Maybe it's not running a profit, but why should that really matter for a billionaire if you care about democracy? Well, you may also remember that in early 2017, under the leadership of Marty Baron, the amazing publisher who'd come from, I believe, the Boston Globe, where he had run those stories so courageously about child sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. Marty Baron, 8 years ago, when Donald Trump first took office, did something the Washington Post had never done before, which was to create the tagline. So the Post never had the tagline, right? The New York Times had all the news that's fit to print, I think. And I don't know if they still have that. I haven't noticed. That was the gray lady had. And the Washington Post, let me just see. All the news that's fit to print is still, that was a slogan that was created by Adolph Oakes in 1897. And I believe all the news that's fit to print might still be, because I get my New York Times online instead of in print. I believe it's still the New York Times slogan. So for the first time in its history, the Washington Post 8 years ago under Marty Baron created a slogan, and it was "Democracy dies in darkness." And some people thought, well, that's really disturbing. But organizations like ProPublica thought it was wonderful, and it was prescient. And this was the official slogan 8 years ago, began in end of February of 2017. And you wouldn't believe it, but the Washington Post just days ago has rolled out a new tagline, a new slogan. They are dropping "Democracy dies in darkness." And if you can believe it, the new headline they are trotting out, the new tagline is, and I quote, "Riveting storytelling for all of America." I kid you not. Riveting storytelling for all of America. And you really just have to see this. It's kind of astonishing. There we have it. Washington Post's new mission, as reported by its rival, the New York Times, is riveting storytelling for all America is its mission statement. So much for "Democracy dies in darkness." And it is astonishing. They saw themselves as a government watchdog, but now they're debuting this new mission statement. They're calling it an expansive view without death or darkness. Riveting storytelling for all of America. I just can't even talk about this any more than that. That speaks for itself. We'll talk more about the decline of the Washington Post. But I do understand, in fairness, why they had to pull "Democracy dies in darkness," because democracy died. It simply died. Now, that's not fair. Let me say it differently. Our democracy isn't dead. This is what the voting public wants, and this is what they're going to get. And so, I don't think maybe "Democracy dies in darkness" is the tagline I would run. I would run FAFO, fuck around and find out, would be the tagline if I ran the Washington Post. But that might be a little crass. So I think they have gone with something that pays tribute to Donald Trump. Okay, guys, now it is time both for our person of the day and our Today I Learned, and of course, Crazy Town. So today I learned that there might be some hope that there are some people in our armed services who took heed, who will uphold their oath in the face of tremendous pressure to engage in actions that are violations of the law. And I learned this because I'm listening to Joe Biden's final speech to the troops as Commander-in-Chief. Let's listen.
I say it not as your president or commander-in-chief. I say it as a man who spent 50 years of his life serving his country in a different way. Remember your oath. My son, Major Bo Biden, used to call it home base. That's a set of principles of values that give you light in darkness, that guide you. It's true to the military. It's the best weapons, the best training in the world. We have the most cutting-edge ships, planes, and subs. We have the smartest, most well-trained force on earth. That's all critical. But that alone is not what makes us strong. This is not what brought Washington, this band of brothers together all those years ago.
So, you know, it's hard to take when we don't know what's ahead. We just don't know. Will he take over by force Greenland? Will Donald Trump engage in war to take back the Panama Canal? Will he engage in these incredibly violent efforts to deport tens of millions of people, separate families, put children in cages again? We don't know what is ahead. And what it's going to take is people inside of organizations, whether they have the levers of power or they simply have the power to throw sand in the wheels, to slow things down with a smile on their face, to take risks, to resist. We will see. We will see. But the American voters have fucked around, not gotten out and voted with protest votes, decided they cared more about super rich people getting tax cuts than people they didn't care about being deported. And I could go on and on. But we have each other. Now, person of the day is, of course, on this last business day, I mean, he's got a few more days, on this last day today of being in office, full day, full business day here. He's got Saturday, Sunday, and part of Monday. We need to say and share Joe Biden as our person of the day. And instead of sharing a statement about Joe Biden provided by one of his ongoing supporters, or certainly not from his haters, I picked someone in between because I think this tribute means so much. And this comes from Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders speaking about Biden's legacy. Thank you, Bernie. And let's play.
Oligarchs and...
Hold on. And this, by the way, this is Jake Tapper asking yesterday Bernie Sanders to reflect on Joe Biden's speech, warning about the oligarchy taking hold in America. Here we go.
Biden, in his farewell address last night, warned against oligarchs and extreme wealth. I'm just wondering, do you have Have you seen any evidence of Biden doing anything about the oligarchy during his 4 years of presidency that he warns about?
Well, in fairness, he has been on domestic issues the most progressive president since FDR. And we've created millions of jobs, rebuilding our infrastructure. He was the first president to take on the pharmaceutical industry and lower the cost of prescription drugs. No small things. I know that he wanted to raise the minimum wage. In terms of the American Relief Act that we passed during COVID, we cut childhood poverty by 40%, extended unemployment. We have put more money into sustainable energy and energy efficiency, combating climate change than any president in history. So he has a strong.
Okay. So Bernie, who is all about concerns about oligarchy, stood up for Joe with Jake saying, yeah, he's speaking out against the danger of concentrated power, but he has done more for the middle class and for America in terms of progressive policies since FDR. So thank you, Bernie, and thank you, Joe Biden. And now, my friends, it is time for Crazy Town, if I can find it. Yes. I don't think I like that wavy jazz hands-ish flourish. I don't think I will use that again. So today, for Crazy Town. Crazy Town is all about the enemy within. Crazy Town, and I'm going to laugh at these fools because this isn't going to work. They're going to try it and it's going to get ugly, but it's going to backfire. Crazy Town is James Comer, congressman from Kentucky, I believe, talking about how he hopes incoming, if she is incoming, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and incoming, if he is also confirmed, Kash Patel for the FBI, hoping that they will help Donald Trump punish his enemies. And this list looks pretty big. Okay, so this is pretty flippin' crazy. Let's listen. Oh, wait. Important thing. Tuesday morning, we're not having a show Monday. Tuesday morning, I'm having Professor Steve Vladeck. I think you might know Vladeck. He's often on television. He's a professor at Georgetown now, used to be at Texas. He has argued a gazillion, I don't know how many, at least one, maybe more, cases before the United States Supreme Court. He will be our guest. He will show up at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. He is going to give us a preview of what we can expect from the Supreme Court. And he will also discuss, because I think the Supreme Court today is going to drop their TikTok decision. He will discuss that with us. This coming year, I am starting to have guests whenever I feel like it and whenever they can show up. And they're going to be people of the caliber of Steve Vladeck. Okay, sorry to mention that. Okay, Crazy Town. Sorry that I didn't mention it. Okay, let's play it.
That's just me. You're still looking into them because there's a lot of other people associated with that, including some others that receive checks.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody that was paying the Bidens 7 digits or more, they were all in trouble. They were bad people in bad countries. You look at Jim Biden, most of the people that gave him money were domestic, and they were people in trouble here in the United States. So, this is a shady influence peddling scheme. There are people in the government that covered this up. I hope they're held accountable. The ball is going to be in Pam Bondi and Kash Patel's court. I just met with Kash Patel minutes before
And let me just say, he starts talking about Jim Biden and so on. Now he's actually, what the headline says, the bigger context is James Comer is talking about how the people on the January 6th committee, the congressional committee, the bipartisan committee that included Liz Cheney and Kinzinger, and then the others were Democratic appointees. Nancy Pelosi pulled this together. Remember, Donald Trump's minions over in the House refused to participate in putting this together. He says they need pardons. Let's continue.
signed up to do this interview. So, we're talking about accountability. I hope they will hold them accountable. Jim Jordan and his Judiciary Committee and me and my Oversight Committee, we're here to work with this administration. Whichever direction Donald Trump wants to go in, we're gonna work with them. However, but
Crazy town. It's going to be crazy town over in the House, in the Senate, and with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. And we're not going to ignore it here. But I want to remember here, we are focusing, centering our physical, relational, intellectual, spiritual, and mental health. And this show is not going to be feeding you we're not feeding you hopium. These are not going to be, my show is not going to be thumbnails about Donald Trump is failing or Donald Trump will be out of office any minute. No. And this show is also not going to feed anxiety or anger. We're going to talk about the truth. It's going to be, America, you fucked around and here's the finding out part. But it's also, we are going to always have something uplifting, something either artistic that feeds our intellectual health, something sort of like a chicken soup for the soul kind of situation, relationship focus, physical health. There will be something here because we are not going to sacrifice our whole being for the next 4 years for the mess that is going to be happening around us. We will invest in helping others. We invest in ourselves. But whenever I show a picture, I believe, of the Mango Mussolini, I want you to know, I will be crossing out his face. I am not giving that man the more attention than he needs. It's going to be about the things he's doing and how we stop him. I am not planning to call him the former guy. That's bullshit. I'll call him who he is, Donald Trump. But we are going to center ourselves here, and we are going to do as much as we can to put his nonsense in crazy town, and to put the stuff that is good and how we are fighting back against fascism at the front of the show. I love you guys. If you're members, I will see you on Sunday at noon. And otherwise, I'll see you Tuesday morning, where we will have Steve Vladeck as our guest. Have a great holiday weekend. Pay your respects to Martin Luther King and ignore the inauguration. Thanks, guys.